Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the podcast today, we have Alfie Whattam. Alfie, welcome.
Hello, Thomas. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am a business leader within a technology recruitment company. I am the founder of an organization called Alpha, which is all about teaching success, whether that's in business or life in general. I am a speaker at events and on podcasts like this. I've had my own podcast and speak to people about business and sales and marketing. I'm an author of this book, Trust in Alpha, which teaches 7 simple rules for success. There's a plug, get it in nice and early. And a former magician as a child and teenager on television, traveling around the world, a young dynamo a long time ago. And that's me in 30 seconds.
Well, you got a lot going on, so thank you for the introduction. In terms of, percentage of time, what would you say that you spend your most time on at the moment?
Almost everything is hands-on operational business leader, hiring, training, coaching, upskilling, closing deals, managing clients, and allowing my business to grow through people and scaling it that way, really.
And which business is that?
So I'm the UK and Ireland national lead for Hayes Software Development Recruitment, which is the largest recruitment agency in the world. We've got a team of thousands of recruiters globally, and I manage a chunk of that across the country. And as well as doing that, obviously the Alpha stuff as well, through teaching and mentoring my own message, and through doing that for the books and the podcasts and the events and so on and so forth.
So, immediately what springs to mind for me regarding the topic of recruiting is to get your expertise on the topic of hiring, because it is a pain point for businesses. But I would like to talk to you about the book as well. So when you get on the topic of hiring, what springs to mind for you in terms of common mistakes and what you look for?
Well, when it comes to hiring, there's a couple of parts to look at, right? You've got the part from terms of the company looking to grow and scale and bring on board new talent. And then you've got the individuals, the candidates looking for their next opportunity. Okay, so in terms of mistakes, companies, one of the biggest things that they're doing wrongly is when it comes to speed. They are so slow when it comes to the process majority of the time. And the truth is the market right now is just so busy, and there's certainly in my world of technology, for every one candidate looking for an opportunity, there's 10 companies looking to hire somebody with that skill set. So if a company isn't moving quick and being agile, they're going to be left out and they're going to be beaten by somebody else that's a little bit more faster. So that's probably the biggest mistake from a company perspective. When it comes to candidates, I would say one of the biggest mistakes that individuals make is that they just focus too much on the technical side as opposed to the soft skills, the presenting, the communication, the leadership, and all of those components. I think it was Dale Carnegie that said that in life, success is 80% about presenting and communicating and building relationships and negotiation. And only 20% of success is really about hard technical skills. But I feel most people get it the other way around, and that's where they're going wrong. So understanding both of those mistakes will allow you to be a lot more successful in whatever you're looking to do, whether that's a job or looking to hire yourself.
In terms of speed, meaning if a company is slow, I don't know this to be the case, but I would suspect it's the case that they're trying to ensure they get the right person or not making a mistake. Have you got any thoughts on balance in terms of making sure you get the right person and not rushing it, essentially?
Yeah, of course. The best companies in the world are essentially the best companies because they've got the best people, right? A company is a collection of individuals working together on separate goals, but towards a common goal, and that's business at the end of the day. And the best companies that I work with, and some of the biggest companies and the most successful companies in the world, they've got the best hiring process in the world. They've got it figured out. They'll have a conversation with somebody, and if if they click, if they feel that they're a good match, that they won't mess around. They'll make them an offer and get them on board, hopefully. Whereas a lot of other companies out there, they think of it all wrong. They think, look, I'm going to put this candidate through a 7-stage interview process. It's going to take 2 months. And as a result of doing that, we're going to get the best people left at the end of it. Because if we start with 10 and we're left with 2, we're going to have the best 2. That's not actually what happens. But the reason why that doesn't happen is because all the other great companies out there, after week 1 or week 2, they're snapping up these great people. And the 2 people that you're often left with at the end of the process are the candidates that nobody else wanted. So by trying to overanalyze it, you're getting the worst and not the best at the end of the process. Not always the case, and obviously there'll be some people listening that are exceptional at what they do and have gone through processes like that and whatnot. But as a general rule of thumb, and based on all of our market research, that's what we're finding. The companies that are the most agile, the quickest, and are able to quickly identify the talent that they need and make them a really good offer to get them on board, that's what's allowing them to scale and be successful. And people that are doing the opposite, they're not growing really.
So would you say have your process or have your sort of set way of doing things, but at the same time, if you see someone really good, then be flexible about your ability to, as you say, snap them up?
Absolutely, and be flexible not just on speed, but be flexible on salary. We've seen many situations recently with people coming to the table and saying, here's what I'm looking for package wise, and then an organization wanting to do everything possible to secure that person, so offering them even more money than what they were asking for, because they know that they're probably going to get other offers elsewhere, or even a counter offer if they look to leave their current organization. So by setting the salary benchmark high, it reduces the risk of them having to go back and then do it again and again and getting to a bidding war. So getting it right the first time is better than struggling 3 or 4 times and then trying to get it right after the 5th or 6th time.
Want to tell me about the book a little bit?
Sure. So, I in business, trained, mentored, hired lots of people and got them going and making lots of money in their own careers. And when I moved into a bigger role in terms of management and leadership, and when I was responsible for people that weren't in my direct team in my office, they were spread across the country in various offices, I was in a tricky situation where I needed to figure out a way of training people that I couldn't spend time with every single day physically. So I wrote a book essentially teaching everything that I've learned over my career, and put it together into a very short book for anybody to digest and read and pick up, so they can take on board what I've learned and apply it to their own life and hopefully have success with that as well. So 7 simple rules for success, some basic principles, which I've essentially haven't invented any of this stuff. I've learned it from speaking to people that are far more successful than me over the years, whether that's major company CEOs, prime ministers, billionaires, people that I've met and spent time with, and I've taken all of these nuggets of wisdom, put it together into a short book for anybody to absorb and apply. And it's all under the framework of what I call Alpha, which is a combination of my name Alfie and the idea of being an alpha, as in the best, the most successful, the most evolved, and it's really about evolution continued on and on physically for a long time, and obviously that's still going to continue on, but right now in the world of technology and in 2022, it's more about a mental evolution, a spiritual evolution, and by applying simple principles like these, that will allow you to take your mind to the next level, your mindset, and evolve both personally and professionally to get to where you need to be.
So would you like to share a couple of those alpha principles with me?
Absolutely, sure. So basic stuff, right? But chapter 1 and rule 1 really talks about living with purpose and some basic building blocks in terms of this, whether that's creating a vision board, whether that's setting goals, short-term and long-term, and combining them with smart objectives, and really having balance within all of this. Because I know a lot of people that have got a great purpose when it comes to business and their career and making money, but they're not healthy. They don't have great relationships with their family or friends. They don't have any spiritual connection or whatever, however you define that, right? And to me, that isn't success. To me, success is about having all of these things, right? It's about being healthy. It's about, being financially free. It's about, having happiness and love and great relationships in your life and a connection to something larger. And the principles are individually won't do much. They're like stones, but if you put them together, you'll create a wall. And it's not an overnight thing, right? This is the combination of years of my life, but it's a combination of decades of other people's all put together into a very, very short, succinct set of beliefs. Really, it's my manifesto to the world, essentially. And since releasing it, like I said, originally was designed to train my staff and my team, and then I put it out there to the world, and since then it's done very well. It's in Waterstones, it's in Walmart in the US, and it's taken on a bit of a life of its own, really, and allowed me to speak at various events and podcasts, teaching the principles and ideas that I've put together in this book.
So is that a principle which has impacted your life the most, or and what would you say the principle that's made the biggest difference for you?
I mean, everything to a degree has, helped me in my life. But one of the biggest things I would say is just in terms of building better habits. You can have all the best ideas in the world, but if you don't take action upon them and actually start doing them consistently every single day, then you're not gonna get to where you want to be. And it's great having a goal and having a vision, but without an actual game plan and putting in the work that's required, then it's always just going to remain a dream at the end of the day. I mean, take something super basic, right? If you want to get physically fit, you need to have an exercise routine. You need to be going to a gym. You need to be doing some kind of workout, pretty much every single day, in order to make that happen. Going to we've just started 2022, right? Going to the gym once, doing some sit-ups ain't going to lead to a six-pack once. You need to do that religiously daily on a regular basis and being consistent with it. So one thing that's always worked well for me personally and has worked well for the people that I've taught this very simple principle to is just pick one very simple thing that we know will improve your life, whether that's meditation, whether that's cutting out junk food, whether that's reading and studying success every single day and reading a book a week. These basic simple success principles, take one of them at a time. Do that for every single day, religiously for a month, build the habit, and then at that point it doesn't need to become a conscious thing that you think about. It moves into your subconscious. It just happens. There's probably things that you do, Thomas, that you don't think about. You get out of bed and then you might grab a glass of water. You did that every single day for a long period of time, and as a result, you don't think about it. You just do it. And the thing that people need to realize about human beings is that we can create these unconscious habits within ourselves if we prioritize the consistent schedule of doing them daily, like the examples that I talked about. And if you do those and start building them, you become a better version of yourself, because you unlock better habits within you that allows you to go about your day and be more effective and productive in what you do. And then that will allow you to get to where you need to be goal-wise. But having the goal is great, but without the actual consistency of the habits and routines, you're not going to get there.
Is there any particular habit for you that has really, well, I suppose I'm trying to summarize it down to one thing, and is the theme to integrate all of these things, I suppose, and that comes from the question of, you've used meditation and perhaps a six-pack as an example so far, and I'm wondering where, from the 80-20 perspective, where people should focus first.
I think a very good one to focus on, and this is a little bit more of a almost subjective principle as opposed to something specific. I give specific examples, but the habit of going the extra mile in whatever you do is a very good and simple one to focus on. If we talk about, imagine if you're working in sales, right, and you're given a target of making 50 phone calls. Going the extra mile is making 60 or 70 of those calls, and doing that not because you're told to do it from your manager, but doing it because that's you as an instinctual habit, doing that daily. And if you do that, every single day consistently, then you don't need somebody giving you direction. You've got that direction from within, and you're going to outperform all of your peers, all of the other people doing your role. And then when promotion time comes up, guess who's gonna get it? It's gonna be you, because you're showing that you're going the extra mile. And that's one example. Going to the gym, if you don't build a muscle by doing the minimum amount of reps and sets needed. You do it by going the extra mile, by breaking down the muscle, allowing it to recover and get bigger and stronger each time. And that applies to anything in life. So it's a basic principle, but going the extra mile in whatever you do is surely going to lead to more good than bad.
Doing more than you're expected to do is a bit of a rare one in society, isn't it? I think all too often we get probably less than we expect, and it is quite rare to find someone who's willing to do more or deliver more than what's expected. So I think that's a really good one to go by. What about the writing of the book? Was that tricky for you? Some people really struggle with it. Some people just deliver it immediately and they don't think too much about it. What was it like?
It was very, very painful. I'm not very good at doing this. I had to mentally discipline myself to do it. And then when I originally wrote it, it was much longer and complete ramblings of a maniac. And I had to sit there and rip up pages and tear stuff out and take this to this to this to this and get the best ideas in the shortest amount of time possible, because it's about being effective, right? Having something big and boring and long looks kind of cool to see something like that, but it's not effective. You want to get the best ideas in the simplest and shortest time possible, or I do personally, and I'm sure most people would probably agree with that. But not an easy process, but certainly something that I'd recommend doing, because challenging yourself and pushing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and do something which is not your strength will allow you to look back on that and see that as a major win, and then you'll start to ask yourself, God, what else could I do that I didn't know I was capable of doing? And then getting it put together was great, but then getting the audio book out there, that was another win, and then getting the the ebook on Kindle and everything, and into stores and that sort of thing. But it all started with an idea. It all started with putting that idea into practice daily, writing without taking a day off, editing, getting it down there, distilling my thoughts, and then putting it out there for the world to see.
And in terms of the promotion of it, it sounds like you've had some successes. For aspiring authors or perhaps existing authors who haven't been able to have that same success, what advice would you give them?
Well, everything from social media to podcasts like this, to just speaking to your friends. It's word of mouth at the end of the day. If you have a bunch of copies, give them away. Give them away to the people closest to you if you feel like it's going to add value and impact their lives. And then if it does, they'll pass it on and share it with others as well. I mean, marketing, and obviously this is your expertise at the end of the day, Thomas. Marketing is great in the respect that there's very technical ways of doing it through SEO and PPC and all those metrics, which you probably understand a million times more than I do, to be honest. But for me, that's very, very important. But the basic building blocks of just making something amazing and making it so good that people want to talk about it is something that I think is a basic principle in marketing, which is super relevant. There's a great book called Purple Cow by Seth Godin. I'm not sure if you've read that before, but he talks about the idea that if you were driving on the motorway, let's say, and you're seeing a million cows on the side of the road, and they're all black and white, boring cows, nothing is going to stand out. But if you saw a purple cow, if you saw something that was remarkable, you're going to pull over. You're going to go and get a selfie with that cow. That's going to stand out from the masses. And my biggest advice to an author is don't even think about the marketing to begin with. Focus on writing something which is a purple cow, something that's different. Just creating a carbon copy of everything else that's out there, and nobody's going to be interested. You need to create something so different and so special that people grab it and go, right, I need to share this purple cow with other people because it's purple, it's different. That's what's going to lead to free marketing at the end of the day.
Great advice. The achievers mentality, which it sounds like, I hope you don't mind me summarizing it that way, which I would suspect you have. Why do you think you are that way?
It's a good question, right? And there's only really two possible answers. A, somebody is born that way, or B, it's environment and it's nature versus nurture. It's probably a combination of the two, right? In terms of why some people are successful and some people aren't. And the part that you can't control is the nature part. You're born, that happens. You don't have a say if you're born or not, but there you are, you're here. And there might be some animal kingdom sort of thing, the silverback gorilla gets to the top of the hierarchy and that sort of thing. That might be the case. But I know a lot of very, very, very talented people naturally that don't put in the work and they don't get to where they could be, and they don't really unlock their true potential. So you can't control the nature part, but you can control the nurture part. And what I mean by that is when you're very young growing up, the nurture part is very much in, I suppose, your parents and your family's hands. It's down to them to expose you to ideas and beliefs and values, and that gets into your subconscious, and that allows you to go out and live your life. And most people, they stick with those and they go out into their adult life, and that's what they become and do based on what they're taught. But you can control those beliefs and ideas, and you can change them. And the way to do that is based on the information that you get into your conscious mind, which then goes into your subconscious. So, what books are you reading, or have you actually read any books? Last year in 2021, where did you get your information from? Who did you get your information from? The old quote is that you are the result of the people that you spend you are the result of the 5 closest people that you spend time with, right? So who are those people? You probably earn the average money that the 5 people closest to you earn as well. So your health is probably the same as the 5 closest people. So getting in an environment and forcing yourself to be in an environment where you can control the nurturing part, that's what's going to allow you to grow in whatever you do, whether it's health, wealth, happiness, and you name it. Environments and situations change individuals, but you need to get out of the idea of life happening to you, and you need to get into the idea that you're controlling your life, and you can set yourself up in an environment that's going to allow you to grow, and both personally and professionally.
Do you still do a lot of self-development, given the fact that you are essentially an author now? Are you still reading as much as you once did?
Probably more than before, to be honest, Thomas. I always try to, it's probably not too tricky to do this, but I always try to be the dumbest person in the room, in the respect that, just finding people that are way more talented than I am. And because that's how you learn. You don't learn from being in a room full of people that are not as smart as you. So when I'm looking to hire for my team, I'm always trying to find people that blow me away, that, I'm not interested in necessarily, what grades they got. I want to know what stories they've got. I want to know what they've achieved experience-wise. I want to hear something cool, something fascinating, something that makes me want to go and tell my wife about it and go, this person did this. That's amazing. So, putting yourself in an environment where you can grow, and self-development and improvement becomes not a chore, but something that just naturally happens every single day. I'll spend thousands of my own money, this year on coaches, on training, and I encourage everyone to do the same. That's how people grow. If you're a great athlete, great athletes spend their time with coaches that push them and challenge them to get better in what they do. And it's not just about doing that in the sports world. It's about doing that in the business world, or the marketing world, or the legal world. Whatever your profession is, you want to find people that are 10, 100 times ahead of where you are, and try and learn from them. That's what I try and do every day.
I've spoken to a lot of coaches, and is it something that you've ever considered doing?
Well, I've done coaching, one-on-one coaching programs and that sort of thing. So I've done that sort of thing. I enjoy giving away information as well. Giving it away for free is a lot of fun. And but the flip side of that is there's so much information out there, Thomas. If you go on YouTube, you can learn how to do anything. But people don't do it. If information was the answer, everybody would be a billionaire with a six-pack and will be living on Mars. That's not my quote. I've nicked it from somewhere, but I can't remember where. But so information clearly isn't the answer. The answer is action and actually applying that. The great thing about coaching programs and paid courses is that if you invest your own money into it, you're much more likely to actually do it, because you put your chips in the table and you put something at stake there. And it's an opportunity cost. And I've done coaching. I do it daily with my team. But at the moment, I'm trying to kind of get that message of alpha out there for free and trying to add value that way.
You've highlighted a couple of times about the emphasis on action, and also sort of highlighted the fact that if information was all that was needed, then everything we'd already sort of know all this stuff. So what are some of the things that you do in order to take action or ensure that you're not a person who takes a course and then does nothing with it?
Well, it's about not being an over perfectionist from my perspective, Thomas, because I see so many people overanalyze and they want to get the plan perfect before they even start. I speak to people and they say, I'm going to get the best trainer, I'm going to get on the best nutrition scheme, I'm going to get the best diet laid out, and then I'm going to really go for it. You don't need all that. You just need to put on some dirty shoes, an old t-shirt, and go and run, and go and put on some loud music and go and run for it. Because just putting it out there, you can iterate, you can change afterwards, but you can't release something perfect, because by the time that you try and get it to be perfect and release it, somebody else has already put something out there, they've beaten you to it, and they've already achieved what you were going for and stolen that market share from a business perspective. But that applies to anything. It's a simple Nike slogan, right? Just do it. There's no better way of saying it than that. Just do it. You're going to fail. It ain't going to work 100%. It's not going to go as it went on your vision board, but at least you'll be closer to it than you would be if you just sat there over analyzing everything and thinking about it. So just do it. You'll fail. You can learn from that. You can apply those lessons and get better the next time you try. But the hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It's a cliche, but it's absolutely true.
I haven't actually heard that little quote. I like that. I might pretend that I did it, that I said it at some stage.
What did Picasso say? Good artists copy, great artists steal. So there you are.
What are your goals, Alfie?
My goals. I've got goals for health, to trying to get a better body and mind every single day. I've got goals for wealth in terms of my business, in investing. I've got goals for my relationships and having trying to connect with more people that through sharing my teachings and my personal relationships and that sort of thing. I've got goals for everything. I think one specific thing for this year is to do more conversations like this, really, Thomas. I've neglected going on podcasts and getting the message out there for a while, and just kind of had more one-on-one conversations with people, but taking it to the masses and doing more stuff through media is something that I'm keen to really do more in 2022. So that's one very, very concrete thing that I'm working on for this year. But for people listening and watching, I wouldn't recommend, when you're doing your 2022 resolutions, trying to have 5, 10, 20 goals on there. Have 1, 2, 3 key things that you can nail, and then if you nail them, then move on to the other things. Because being overwhelmed, we all know what it's like. We have so much going on and we don't know where to begin. So just picking 1 or 2 things, nailing them, and then moving on to the others. That's one thing that I'm really trying to do this year.
So it was something that I was going to ask you about, which was whether or not you should have aspirational, far off goals, or realistic, I suppose, to give you a better description of it, smart goals. And I've heard lots of different takes on this, and I wonder what yours is.
I talk about SMART goals in my book, and one of my issues with SMART goals is that people typically label the A in SMART as achievable. But surely it would make sense that you would set a goal if you believe it's going to be something that you can achieve to begin with. So I like goals that are both short-term and long-term, right? You need to have a big vision in terms of where you want to go to, but you need to have milestones along the way. And that's essentially what short-term goals are. So it's good to have that vision, know what you want to achieve long-term, but then break that down, because you ain't going to get to that point overnight. You need to go, right, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, and that's your short-term goals essentially.
Okay. Is there anything I should have asked you about today?
That's a good question, isn't it? I don't get that one much. Well, let me. Can I flip this for a second? What about you? What are your goals for 2022, Thomas?
The reason I asked the question of what are your goals is because I don't have something concrete like that. I have set goals before, and I've struggled with the emotional side of it, getting behind whether or not I really want to achieve that thing or not. So I'm always intrigued as to what people's answers will be and how much they've thought through it, because it's a topic where there's so much conversation around it, and there's claims that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and I'm
Sure.
fascinated by the types of responses I get. I've heard some people say they don't do goals at all, and that's people that are doing well. There's people that will say, in 30 years I want to be X, Y, and Z, and I've got each sort of like a plan. And then there's there's micro goals like you've highlighted, which, and it kind of makes me think that it's one of those things where there isn't a right way to do it. There's just a way for you.
Potentially, I only speak about what's worked well for me personally, right? And what I've learned from others, applied it myself, and if it's worked well, I'll share it. If it doesn't work well, then I won't share it. But for me, creating goals that are specific, really really clear. Not saying you want to make loads of money, but having a number behind it. Having an actual quantifiable target. You can be the best pilot in the world, but if you don't know where you're flying to, you'll fly around without direction and crash into the ocean eventually. So specific, having goals that are measurable, that ties back into numbers, making them quantifiable. When I talked about a minute ago in SMART, not having something that's achievable, have something that's actionable, have something that you can, immediately after writing the goal down, immediately start taking action on it. Are relevant, tie it into your long-term vision. If your vision is to do X and the short-term goals aren't really connecting to that, and then reassess and tweak them. And then time based, obviously have a deadline. If you're studying and you're a student listening to this, you'll do your exam and your coursework 24 hours before it's due most of the time, and that's because that's when the deadline is. So if you set really really short deadlines for yourself in terms of doing steps of the project, for me personally and for the people that I've taught, that's worked really really well for them. But like you say, everyone's different. That might not work for some people, but I would encourage people to give it a go, because I know personally that's worked really really well for me.
Yeah, test it. And the other thing I like or have heard, which I think there's something in it, and that's follow your effort. So I have been spending some time recently trying to figure out why I am the way I am, why I do the things that I do. And that's the reason why I asked you about the question of why do you think that you are the way that you are in relation to an achiever. And there's a lot of interesting stuff there. So
nature and nurture, probably a combination, right? But you can change who you are, and people change every couple of years, right? You probably had friends that you went to school with, and you've seen them when they've got older and they're a different person, and you've got some people that never changed. But the people that have changed, whether that's consciously or subconsciously, they've changed their beliefs and their habits, but you can do that consciously. You can pick and choose the type of person that you want to become. And improve, become a better version of you. But it all starts with the idea and then taking action on it.
There you go. There's a theme definitely for this episode, and that is taking action. I think you're an action taker for sure.
You've got to be, right. I mean, what's the alternative? Just talking a big game and then not backing it up. I think it's pretty hypocritical to go and make big statements and then not do anything about them. I mean, to me personally, I love putting stuff out there into the universe, because if I put it out there and I don't do it, I feel embarrassed. I feel like a hypocrite, like a fake. So I like making big claims, because then that public pressure is what drives me personally to try and do those things. And not for everybody, but if you give that a go, if you say to your friends, look, I'm gonna start this business, I guarantee in a couple of weeks when you next see them, they're gonna ask you how you're getting on. You know, have you started it yet? And if the answer is, oh, I haven't done it, I've been watching Netflix, I've been doing this, you know, then nobody wants to feel that way. Nobody does. So it's a really good place to start. Just put it out there, tell people what you're going to do, and then it will spur you on to make it happen.
Any big claims you want to make to ensure that you follow through on something?
I'm keen to get this into everybody's hands, as many people's hands as I can do. So, you know, a year from now, so 7th of January 2022, let's say 7th of January 2023, I'd love for this to have you know, 100,000, a million people that have read it. You know, as many as possible. We're not quite at that number yet. We've still got a long way to go. So, you know, a big, meaty, juicy number like that would be something that would be quite exciting to go after, right?
Right. Well, there must be some sort of automation or calendar tool or something to remind you that that's on its way now. It's been put out into the universe, as you said.
I'll put it in the Outlook.
There you go. Where's the best place for people to find you and also to buy the book?
The book's everywhere, so any bookstore. To find me, just any social media platform. Search my name or go to my website, which is alfiewhattam.com, and any social media platform. I'm on pretty much all of them, and share content about business, about sales, about life, about personal and professional development. You know, if you're watching this and you know you're somebody that wants to grow in what you're doing, then I've probably got some ideas that can help you. If you're watching this and that's not you, then I'm not for you, and I definitely can't help you. But if you're interested in becoming a better version of who you are and achieving your goals, you know, quicker and achieving big goals fast, then Alpha is definitely for you and something that can help.
Alfie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Always a pleasure.